pride, and I can't drop it with credit to myself while I remain publicly known as your solicitor. You leave me no alternative, sir, but to resign the honour of acting as your legal adviser. I am sorry to hear it, says Mr. Armadale, but I have suffered enough already through interfering with Miss Gwilt. I can't and won't stir any further in the matter. You may not stir any further in it, sir, said Mr. Pedgift, and I shall not stir any further in it, for it has ceased to be a question of professional interest to me. But mark my words, Mr. Armadale, you are not at the end of this business yet. Some other person's curiosity may go on from the point where you and I have stopped, and some other person's hand may let the broad daylight in yet on Miss Gwilt. I report their language, dear madam, almost word for word, I believe, as I heard it. It produced an indescribable impression on me. It filled me, I hardly know why, with quite a panic of alarm. I don't at all understand it, and I understand still less what happened immediately afterward. Mr. Pedgift's voice, when he said those last words, sounded dreadfully close to me. He must have been speaking at the open window, and he must, I fear, have seen me under it. I had time, before he left the house, to get out quietly from among the laurels, but not to get back to the office. Accordingly I walked away along the drive toward the lodge, as if I was going on some errand connected with the steward's business. Before long Mr. Pedgift overtook me in his gig, and stopped. "So you feel some curiosity about Miss Gwilt, do you?" he said. "Gratify your curiosity by all means. I don't object to it." I felt naturally nervous, but I managed to ask him what he meant. He didn't answer. He only looked down at me from the gig in a very odd manner, and laughed. "I have known stranger things happen even than that," he said to himself suddenly, and drove off. I have ventured to trouble you with this last incident, though it may seem of no importance in your eyes, in the hope that your superior ability may be able to explain it. My own poor faculties, I confess, are quite unable to penetrate Mr. Pedgift's meaning. All I know is that he has no right to accuse me of any such impertinent feeling as curiosity in relation to a lady whom I ardently esteem and admire. I dare not put it in warmer words. I have only to add that I am in a position to be of continued service to you here, if you wish it. Mr. Armadale has just been into the office, and has told me briefly that in Mr. Midwinter's continued absence I am still to act as steward's deputy till further notice. Believe me, dear madam, anxiously and devotedly yours, Felix Bashwood. 4. From Allan Armadale to the Reverend Decimus Brock. Thorpe Ambrose, Tuesday. My dear Mr. Brock, I am in sad trouble. Midwinter has quarrelled with me and left me, and my lawyer has quarrelled with me and left me, and, except dear little Miss Milroy, who has forgiven me, all the neighbours have turned their backs on me. There is a good deal about me in this, but I can't help it. I am very miserable alone in my own house. Do pray come and see me. You are the only old friend I have left, and I do long so to tell you about it. N.B. On my word of honour as a gentleman, I am not to blame. Yours affectionately, Allan Armadale. P.S. I would come to you, for this place is grown quite hateful to me, but I have a reason for not going too far away from Miss Milroy just at present. 5. From Robert Stapleton to Allan Armadale, Esquire. Bascombe Rectory, Thursday morning. Respected Sir, I see a letter in your writing on the table along with the others, which I am sorry to say my master is not well enough to open. he is down with a sort of low fever. The doctor says it has been brought on by worry and anxiety, which the master was not strong enough to bear. This seems likely, for I was with him when he went to London last month, and what with his own business and the business of looking after that person who afterward gave us the slip, he was worried and anxious all the time, and for the matter of that, so was I. My master was talking of you a day or two since. He seemed unwilling that you should know of his illness unless he got worse. But I think you ought to know of it. At the same time he is not worse, perhaps a trifle better. The doctor says he must be kept very quiet and not agitated on any account. So be pleased to take no notice of this. I mean in the way of coming to the rectory. I have the doctor's orders to say it is not needful, and it would only upset my master in the state he is in now. I will write again if you wish it. Please accept of my duty, and believe me to remain, sir, your humble servant, Robert Stapleton. P.S. The yacht has been rigged and repainted, waiting your orders. She looks beautiful. 6. From Mrs. Oldershaw to Miss Gwilt. Diana Street, July the 24th. Miss Gwilt. The post hour has passed for 3 mornings following, and has brought me no answer to my letter. Are you purposely bent on insulting me, or have you left Thorpe Ambrose? In either case I won't put up with your conduct any longer. The law shall bring you to book if I can't. Your first note of hand, for £30, falls due on Tuesday next, the 29th. If you had behaved with common consideration towards me, I would have let you renew it with pleasure. As things are, I shall have the note presented, and if it is not paid, I shall instruct my man of business to take the usual course. Yours, Maria Oldershaw. 7. From Miss Gwilt to Mrs. Oldershaw. 5 Paradise Place, Thorpe Ambrose, July the 25th. Mrs. Oldershaw. The time of your man of business being, no doubt, of some value, I write a line to assist him when he takes the usual course. He will find me waiting to be arrested in the first-floor apartments at the above address. In my present situation, and with my present thoughts, the best service you can possibly render me is to lock me up. L.G. 8. From Mrs. Oldershaw to Miss Gwilt. Diana Street, July the 26th. My darling Lydia, the longer I live in this wicked world, the more plainly I see that women's own tempers are the worst enemies women have to contend with. What a truly regretful style of correspondence we have fallen into! What a sad want of self-restraint, my dear, on your side and on mine. Let me, as the oldest in years, be the first to make the needful excuses, the first to blush for my own want of self-control. Your cruel neglect, Lydia, stung me into writing as I did. I am so sensitive to ill treatment when it is inflicted on me by a person whom I love and admire, and though turned 60, I am still, unfortunately for myself, so young at heart. Accept my apologies for having made use of my pen, when I ought to have been content to take refuge in my pocket handkerchief. Forgive your attached Maria for being still young at heart. But, oh, my dear, though I own I threatened you, how hard of you to take me at my word! How cruel of you, if your debt had been 10 times what it is, to suppose me capable, whatever I might say, of the odious inhumanity of arresting my bosom friend. Heavens, have I deserved to be taken at my word in this unmercifully exact way, after the years of tender intimacy that have united us? but I don't complain.